Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Jack again, talking about our diabetic journey, our Liveabetes. Thank you for tuning back in again. This is week number 2, episode number 2, and I'm ecstatic and happy to be talking to everybody, to let everybody know the first episode was very well received. We got a lot of likes and a lot of subscriptions. I hope we can keep going forward and keep helping people. Let's start it off with this. Let's talk about depression. The definition, and I'm going to read it to you so it's not something I'm making up, so it's specific. It's a common or serious medical illness that causes persistent sadness, loss of interest in activities, and a range of physical and emotional symptoms. It negatively affects how you feel, think, and act, often leading to functional impairment in work, school, and home life. It's treatable and not a sign of weakness. So let's talk a little bit about depression. Depression is something that we just don't like to admit that we have, especially my generation, Gen X. Depression is a joke to the Gen Xers. It's a deal with it. It's what's wrong with you? Kick its butt. Whatever it may be. We were brought up differently. We were brought up where we deal with it, where we fix it ourselves. And depression's not a joke. It's not something that we've brought on because we're weak or we're soft. It's a real thing. It's a real mental disorder. And when you deal with weight issues, which was my form of depression, that brings it in. I was always a chunky kid all through grade school, all through high school, up and down in weight. When I was a junior and a senior, I was playing football in high school, so it wasn't too bad. But then when the season ended, I would put weight on. And it was always a battle, and it was always causing insecurity. And I know, again, some of you that know me may think like, man, we never saw any of this in him. And I did. I tried to hide it as well as I could. But it was always there, lurking in the background, working in the mind, causing doubts, causing questions. Some of the girls in high school that I probably should have or would have asked out or to prom or anything like that, I really never did because the insecurities were there, and it boils down to caused by depression. And it's crazy now looking back at it. I wish I would have known then. But it's something that leads to a lot of problems. And when you link diabetes with depression, it's a strong bidirectional connection, which means each can increase the risks of the other. So if you're diabetic, it can increase the risks of your depression because of the diabetes. If you have depression, it could lead to stronger and more problematic symptoms of the diabetes. They work hand in hand, unfortunately. People with diabetes are 2 to 3 times more likely to suffer from depression. That's crazy thinking. Just from diabetes, 2 to 3 times more likely to suffer with depression. So maybe something like happened with me young, a weight problem led to a piece of depression in my brain, in my mind, insecurities. And I dealt with it, and I lived with it, and I moved forward. I got in some fist fights, and you did what you did back in the 70s and the 80s. You dealt with bullies straight on. If you didn't like what they were saying, you either dealt with them straight on or you avoided them. But either way, you took care of it. Name calling, tough guys, chubby kids, special section in Kaufman's store in West Hazleton to buy your corduroy pants at a special size for kids that were built like us, the chunky kids. So you had to deal with it. The name that drove me crazy my whole life, and it's even hard to this day to say it because of the negative impact it had on me, but they used to call me Fat Jack. And boy, oh boy, did I hate it. I got in a lot of fist fights over that. And growing up and growing older, I've learned to actually use it. I use it to drive me now to get to where I need to be. I use it as a motivator. I think of that name when people would call me that name, and how it would anger me and how it would hurt me. Why are you calling that? Just because I'm an extra size up than you. I have to wear my coffin pants. And you get stuff from the Gap. Why would you do that? But back in those days, that's what we did. We called each other names. We had nicknames for each other, and a lot of the times they weren't based on positive things. They were based on the negative, on the visual. So you dealt with it. You dealt with your bully straight on. You dealt with your problem straight on. You hit it or you attacked it, one or the other. Either way, I did both, and I'm here to talk about it now, thank God. Never was much of a fighter, didn't like to fight, had my share of them over the years, would prefer always to talk my way out of it if I could, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. You deal with it, and that's what we did. But anyway, getting back to diabetes and depression, that's how they work together. So as I grew older, and as these problems in my brain and in my mind, these insecurities continued to stay there, and I went through college and different career paths and different situations, they never left. They got stronger. They got more intense. They dropped down. They and the weight just started keep coming on. It kept coming on, and you laugh about it, you joke about it, you fake it, but inside you don't. Inside, when you're sitting at home alone, you're wondering why you can't figure it out, and you're blaming everybody. You're blaming everybody. You're blaming the restaurant. You're blaming the person cooking your food. You're blaming the fat in a bag that's made in a factory in California or Mexico. You're blaming everybody but the person in the mirror, and that's who needs to be blamed. And that's the way around it that I found for me.
Jose's Fire TV.
That's what worked for me. Blaming the person that's looking at you right now on the camera. That's whose fault it was, and that's who's fixing it. So that's why we're dealing with Liveabetes. So as I got older and I went through, the name calling, of course, it went down. It became less, and as I grew through different career path choices and colleges and things that I did, again, we dealt with it. And sometimes weight would go up, sometimes weight would come down, it would fluctuate. But the bullying and stuff kind of, as we got older, that kind of went away. We just kept moving forward. Again, unfortunately, I do look back and I say, maybe there were a couple of high school girls, maybe a couple of college girls that had I had a little more confidence, had I had little more believability and a little less inner depression, maybe it'd be a different situation today that we're in. But that being said, that didn't happen, and I'm smiling now and I'm happy. But again, let's get through my life to around the year of 2012. And 2012 is when I believe, maybe even 2011, is when I believe my depression really started to kick in. And again, I didn't see it. I didn't realize it. I just was dealing with it and moving on, taking the punches and moving on. 2011, I was working full-time for the Helping Hand Society. I was in charge of their fundraising, their grounds, buildings and grounds, and some other things, and had a lot of good friends on the board with me and volunteering, and we had a lot of fun working for that organization. We did a lot of good helping those kids. But around 2011, my father, who John Seaman, who was the executive director, was getting near the end to be retired, and he was starting to face the fact that the time was coming to an end where he would have to stop, and he wasn't doing well accepting that. And unfortunately, there were a handful of people involved that were pushing a lot harder to get him out, than we would hope that they would have. And in that direction, they pointed their fingers at a couple other people that were employed, myself included, to push me out. And they were afraid that my father wanted me to take over his job. And although I told them numerous times that was not my intention ever, I never wanted to be the executive director of Helping Hands. I never wanted to take my father's position. It didn't matter. They kept pushing. Eventually, they came up with numerous reasons, and I resigned to protect my father. I took some of the blame of the things that were going wrong, that could have possibly fallen on his shoulders, and I took them on mine. And I also had my restaurant going at the time. I had Liveabetes. It was up and running, and also was going through some rough times. This was right around the time of the Great Recession, whether right during it, right after it, I forget exactly how it worked. But we went from doing really well in sales to dropping off dramatically, thanks to a few things, but mainly I would think would be the Great Recession. So as I was losing my full-time job, I was also in the process of losing my dream, my restaurant, at the same time. Financial reasons. I was also involved with a person at the time who I believed, boy, this was dumb, but I believed was the one for me. I believed she was the love of my life, and it turns out that that was absolutely the exact opposite of what she was. But at the time, I believed she was. And on top of all of that, my mother, who was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2010, and she was battling that, and she was on the backside of dealing with cancer. So that was all between 2011 and 2012, all kind of at the same time. It was brutal. It was a hard time, and again, you just keep moving forward. I worked when I officially lost the job and resigned from the Helping Hand Society. I went to work as an overnight security guard on a project in the greater Hazleton area. I was working overnights, just protecting properties, just didn't care about anything, didn't care about what I was doing, where I was going, where my career was, where my future was. I just didn't care. So many things had gone wrong that I just didn't care. And I was doing that, and then an opportunity came up to kind of restart, kind of take a look at things and say, everything is going so far backwards right now, and maybe it's time to rethink these. And I had an opportunity for employment in Ocean City, Maryland, and I had some friends down there already. I had been running an event for the Helping Hand Society in Ocean City, Maryland for many years, and I made some good contacts, and an opportunity arose. So I was hoping that was going to be my shot, my chance to move forward, my chance to turn it around, to start over, to whatever it was. And although you can't run from and you can't escape depression, you could direct yourself in many ways. So in the next episode, we're going to be talking about my time in Ocean City, what happened, how it went, the great times I had down there, and some of the not so good times, some of the misfortune, some of the luck. It's a wonderful place to live. It's a great place. I've made many great friends down there, and still have them to this day. And there's some stories to tell too. But in the meantime, please, again, if you're enjoying this, please go to my YouTube channel. It's Jack, JAC, CSEA 65. So Jack C 65 on YouTube. That's my channel. Please go there. That's where this video will be housed. If you are enjoying it, please subscribe and like it there on YouTube. That keeps me relevant and shows me that people are very much interested in what we're talking about here. You could also email me with any questions, any stories, any ideas, anything you'd like to talk about. Maybe we could arrange a meets where we could go live, or we could videotape a conversation between the two of us and put it on the podcast. Or if you'd like to just share a story privately via an email, a recipe, something like that, to help with this Liveabetes problem. The email is sweet, SWEET, Vic, VIC, 2026 at gmail.com. Once again, that's sweet, like candy, SWEET, Vic, VIC, short for victory, 2026 at gmail.com. And again, if you're enjoying this, please please subscribe, reach out, let me know how you think, how you feel, what your thoughts are, and I look forward to carrying the story on to some brighter days and some better stories and some fun times too that are going to be coming up in Ocean City, Maryland on the next segment. So stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.